Привет из Дубая. С вами передача «Голубь мира», где разбираем крутые навыки. Спрашиваем на английском, отвечаем на русском. Подтягивайте язык или смотрите перевод в тайм-кодах. Let's talk about ethics and let's start with definition.
First word which was then converted to ethics was ethos. And ethos, this is a rules how to live in human society. So we want to be sure that no one will kill us or not steal or will say some dirty words. So we want to become, we want to live all together to do some construction like roads, like bridges, like houses, and so on. But we have a lot of people who were coming from abroad on the ships, on the horses, or maybe by legs, and we want to explain how to deal with us. And different tribes and different religions, different cities, they were having different list of rules, and they will all use something about individuality and about aggressiveness. For example, if I see a people who wear the same clothes as me, I would treat him like a friend. And if I would see another flag or ship with another equipment or person who will talk on other language, I would see that this is a stranger and maybe he is dangerous one. But if we go to I don't know how to say колодец,
Will.
wheel.
Yes,
If
it
you
will
go
be a will.
to the wheel, if you go to the tavern, if you go to eat all together, if you go to the war with several tribes, we should establish some connections and some rules. This is about solidarity. This is about how to make common protection, how to make no noises, how to divide which would be we get after the fight. So this is about morality. This is about how to keep the word. This is how to make an agreements and also to be in assist in help of each other.
So we actually spoke briefly about the morality. So what is the difference, or maybe what is the relationship between morality and the ethics when it comes to explaining maybe the rules or fundamentals of the human's relationship?
Morality, it's very easy. Morality, this is rules which are considered by the society as good or bad. For example, is it allowed to eat something? Is it allowed to shout? Is it allowed to put garbage on the street? In some cities, it's okay, but in some cities, it is not. If you're doing everything right, you are a moral person. But ethics, this is not about how you do, but this is how you interact with other people. For example, I could be moral person, but I will do unethically. So I will conduct all rules. I will make everything go smooth. But for example, I will say, I will not work with this person because I like how he think, how he sing, how he cook, how he smell, and so on.
Whether the ethics has like any type of the depths, because I do believe, like, for example, if I would compare it with the religion, as far as I know, in some of the religions they might be having like super orthodoxal rules, like where you really need to stick to the core and can't really, like, bend anything. So what about the ethics, whether there are levels, and whether, like, there is a flexibility to move from one to another, and if someone has this flexibility, whether it's good or bad?
When we talk about ethic, this is about several terms, several words. This is about conscience. This is about good and bad. This is about sympathy. This is about friendship. This is about a sense of life. This is about самопожертвование, self-sacrifice.
Self-sacrifice.
Self-sacrifice. When we talk about morality, this is about mercy, about justice, about relationship. And when we talk about ethics, this is about knowledge. If we talk about morality, this is how we use this knowledge. So we have in ourselves, in our families, in our tribes, or with our kins, we have a system of moral and нравственный.
Also could be like a pure or virtuous.
Virtuous norm how to work within the group or within the person. And when we behave with accordance of these rules, we feel ourselves as a good man. You know, I was reading several months ago a book, and the first paragraph struck me in the head. It was written that everyone wants to be good, and I was thinking, yes, maybe it's true, but I have never was thinking about this.
Well, it's actually interesting because, like, especially in some of the movies, if we would think about what the bad guy think, and if we try to put ourselves in their shoes, actually they might be quite right, even though like it would be shown in the very fancy ways from the side of the good folks. But now, when it comes to, let's say, for example, professional relationship, or maybe just like relationship with the groups, ethics could be used as the communication language or the basis that lies between the groups, so that they know, okay, towards each other we are going to use those rules, and like this is what distinguish us, this is what led us to have this trust or maybe trustability between each other, so that we can focus on the business, on our matters, and then don't really think about like deceiving anyone. Like, for example, one of the things that you told me that for example, some of the brahmins in the Indian caste, they saying, okay, it's okay to like treat differently other people and maybe bending truth, but it's not okay to treat ourselves this way as well.
You know, when we talk about ethics, we should understand that this is about a purpose of our life. If our purpose is to stay within our group as Brahmin in India, it's okay. And you was also right when he was talking about bad guys. Sometimes if you will jump in his head, you will understand why this person is doing like this. For example, let's talk about slavery. It was a time when a lot of people in Europe and America, they were having slaves, and they were thinking those people like animals, and we could treat them like animals. There is also a movie with DiCaprio, and he has a very nice passage when we're trying to break skull of his previous servant, and was explaining that in the skull there is several shapes which could be described as a person who should be ruled. And there is even a so-called false science, phrenology, about this. So people sometimes use special stories how to make something bad, what they do, to look as good.
And when we try to, like approach to the new group of people, let's say like maybe it could be a new country or maybe a new business or anything like this. So how should we learn about the ethics of something which is not yet known to us, so that we know how to operate? And when we learn that there are a lot of contradictions, how should we go about it like internally? Because sometimes we may be sticking to our maybe principles or like any fundamentals, or sometimes we might be thinking, okay, like this time it's okay to bend it and I will make an excuse, or maybe we'll make a good story to justify myself. So how should we go about judging when we're trying to bend something?
We should listen to the people, and I will give you some examples, and I know you will laugh because you know all of them. It was a time I was working in Dubai, and suddenly I was talking with some person. He was responsible for building Dubai shopping mall, and suddenly I told him that I like something, and suddenly he present me this, and I was astonished. I couldn't take this in my country. This is impossible. This thing was very huge and very expensive, and I was trying to resist. And he told me, if you will not accept my present, we will be in a fight. So there would be no friendship and no project. And when next day I look to his associates, I ask them, how should I deal with this? And they told me, okay, this is true. If you will not accept this present, you will be like punished. But you know, there is another wing of this bird. You also should give something in exchange. And in this point, I was completely astonished. What should I do with the same expenses? Because this person was giving me no laptop and laser printer completely made from gold.
Well, this is actually, yeah, quite interesting story. And obviously it should be some sort of about symmetrical, and the thing is that you need to learn about all of these things in advance. Well, my last question will be how knowing about ethics would help to make this world a better place.
It's very funny, but different peoples has the different rules. For example, I was learning in the Kiev Polytechnical Institute. In my group, there were a lot of foreigners, and one of them was a guy from Peru. And when we were on travel to his home, we were eating cats. When I was with other guys working in Korea, I was eating dogs. When I was in other countries, I also eat something which is very strange and I will never eat again. For example, even in Switzerland, I was eating grape snails, and it's not so tasty to make it twice or several times. But anyway, you should be same as other people. If they dance, you should dance. If they eat, you should eat. By the way, when I have been to Kazakhstan, if I am not mistaken, you are born in Kazakhstan, yes? I
Yes.
have been in the city. The name was Almaty, and there was a restaurant. I don't know how to translate, but like Seven Treasure or Seventh Treasure, and there were a lot of food, and we were laying on the ground in our suits, and there were 11 different foods, and no one could eat. Suddenly, we were. It was announced that now we will get a main course, and it was plov, but no one could eat. And these guys who were accepting us as guests, they were saying, if you will not eat, we will be very upset. And we have been eating, I don't know exactly, maybe from 9 o'clock in the morning up to 7 o'clock in the evening. And when we finished, everyone was already going to die, and suddenly they ask, what you want to have on a dinner?
Well, this is funny enough. А мы рассмотрели навык этика и чем он полезен именно вам, всем мира.